Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer are in Spain meeting with Chinese officials to discuss everything from TikTok to trade. Joining us now, White House Senior Trade and Manufacturing Advisor Peter Navarro. We're all still thinking about Charlie. I mean, we'll go on to all these other subjects immediately, but Charlie Kirk, and you were just saying how important he was to, I think, overall to the country and to the administration.
It's the one thing I'd like to have people understand is how important Charlie is as an historical figure. This is a man who could have been president and certainly a governor, but he's also the greatest political organizer in the last 50 years. And if you compare him to David Axelrod and Ralph Reed, who I think are the top two, Charlie had a very distinct difference. What Ralph Reed did was organize a Christian coalition, people who are naturally inclined to the Republican Party, and he was able to mobilize them. Axelrod did the same thing on the Democrat side. He's very high-tech, micro-targeting, things like that, right, to get the youth, blacks, Hispanics, and really was responsible for Obama in 2008. What Charlie did is he had a heavier lift. He not only had to mobilize the youth, before he did that, he had to persuade them. And that was, I mean, when I first met him in 2016, I thought he was Don Quixote. You can't do that. I mean, the youth of America, they're hopelessly left. Charlie did that, and he was important, certainly in the presidential election, but he was also important prior to that in taking back the House and Senate for Republicans. And that I hope people will remember, besides all the other great things about Charlie, his historical significance. Yeah. Nobody did that better. He was 31 years old when he achieved that.
I saw, you guys see the George Carlin, just happened to see if he went off on a rant about who gets assassinated. And you go down the list. Every single person was a peacemaker, someone that's trying to bring both sides together. You just go down the list from JFK to RFK to MLK to Gandhi to one after another. None of them are people that are advocating for violence or...
The other thing I'll say here, Joe, is there's a disturbing asymmetry between what the left is doing to us and what we're not doing to them. If you think about it...
You mean conservatives?
Well, let me run the list here. I mean, first of all, I was in the first administration all 4 years. Every single person I was in with suffered from some kind of lawfare. At a minimum, it was the Dan Scavino, Mark Meadows ran up millions of dollars in legal fees, Walt Naga. Right. At the other end of the scale, Bannon and I went to prison. Right. We had the president trying to be put in prison for like 4 different courts, 2 assassination attempts. Now they got Charlie. And then I came here for 9/11.
Peter, you went to prison because of refusing to... It was contempt of Congress that sent you there.
I went to prison because it was my duty as a presidential advisor to refuse a subpoena. That was the policy of the Department of Justice for more than 50 years. There was no dispute about that. They changed the policy to put me in. But the point is that Bannon and I went to prison. I was with Rudy. The reason why I'm here in town is I was at 9/11. In the morning for the reading of the names with Howard. Rudy shows up. This man is like, he's got a back brace on, his thoracic spine, 9, is totally crushed. He's there. Mike Bloomberg's there, Pataki's there. I'm listening to the reading of the names. They bankrupted Rudy Giuliani. They took away the law licenses of Jeff Clark and John. I mean, the point, Joe, all of you, is that this asymmetry has got to stop. And the whole point... Yeah, sure.
I have a question, though,
sir.
about all this. And
yes, sir.
I appreciate the way you feel about all this, and I appreciate the way the president feels about this, and the whole idea of political weaponization. I feel you, and I get why you feel the way you do.
And that's why 2 wrongs make a right or something?
No, and my question...
But do you believe that it exists?
I absolutely believe that there has been a weaponization in the political realm,
yes,
and I believe the Democrats have participated in that in a meaningful way. I'm not going to suggest for half a second that they haven't. My question to you is, given how you feel about that and how strongly I imagine you feel about that, there are things taking place today. We just had a whole conversation about Lisa Cook. And I'm not saying that she's not guilty. I have no idea. But I would imagine, given what everybody in the last administration lived through, meaning your own experience and everybody else, that you would say to yourself, you know what? We don't want this. And at the minimum, we want to, you're not guilty, you're innocent till you're found guilty. Not
do a quid pro quo.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the case. So I want to know what you think.
It's just the opposite. It's just the opposite. If we don't hold these people accountable, they're going to do it again.
But
I mean, if you look, hang on. If you look at what was done to Donald Trump, see, the FBI agent who put me in leg irons and handcuffs, Walter Giardina, Chuck Grassley is out of this guy through whistleblowers, and we now know that this agent was involved in every single conspiracy to try to take Donald Trump down, starting with he was the guy that authorized the Steele dossier, said it was legitimate. That set off Crossfire Hurricane, the Mueller report. There's all these ops. And so Lisa Cook, I mean, look, there was guys in prison. They're probably watching right now because we joked at one point that CNBC was preferred, and we don't know why. But there was guys in prison who were in there for years for the same kinds of things that Lisa Cook is alleged to do. Andrew, that's not a slap on the wrist, okay? That's bank fraud, okay? And so my feeling is that if we don't hold James Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Schiff, Page, Strzok, everybody that keeps coming at us, they'll do it again. And they'll do it again as soon as they get the House back with subpoenas and impeachment. Can I ask you a different question?
I would imagine, though, in a perfect world, you would want there to be a fair justice system about it. So, for example, and again, I have no idea what the story is with Lisa Cook, but I would think that you would say, you know what, she should have her job until she's found to be guilty. Maybe not. I don't know. I would imagine one of the things that's happened since this president has come back into office is there have been people who worked in previous administrations, Obama administration, Biden administration, that have lost their security. I'm not talking about security clearance. I'm talking about security. There's lots of things that have happened that I would assume you would want to have security if it was deemed necessary. So I'm just suggesting and trying to understand the psyche of how you think about that relative to your own experience in this.
I'm an Old Testament guy, Andrew. I'm telling you, if we don't hold them accountable, they'll do it again. They'll do it again. I mean, Schumer, AOC, Omar, these people are out of control.
But so it does mean that but therefore it means that everything gets weaponized.
We don't do that.
It means retribution.
Yeah, but look,
it does mean that both sides are weaponizing. That's the scary part about this.
If it is in fact true, which I believe it is, that the Democrats systematically tried to interfere with the presidential elections in 2016, 2020, and 2024, and if they used lawfare, then they should be held accountable. I mean, look, every single person involved, everyone involved in my incarceration was a Democrat, Andrew. Everyone. There was a Democrat majority in Congress. It was a Democrat judge. It was a Democrat jury. It was Democrat prosecutors. It was Democrat appeals court. And look, they never should have put me in prison until my appeal was heard, but they did that anyway. So please, this is not time for kumbaya. This is time for accountability. And it's not about retribution, Andrew. It's about accountability, because they don't play by the same rules. But you're talking about
going back after the people who had done this before.
What's that?
You're talking about going after the people who you hold responsible for this, who did all these things. Not necessarily other stuff beyond
Absolutely.
that. Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Let's be clear about it.
One of the things that's very difficult right now is people say, let's bring the country together. You hear that all the time. Let's bring the country together. No, hold on.
Yeah, I get it.
And the president was asked about this over the weekend, and it was asked late last week. And he said, look, right now he thinks it's the left's fault and that there's no bringing the country together. And so the question is, how do you fix that? If the president doesn't, seriously, this is a real thing. We all want the country to come together.
This is the problem. And my view is that if we don't hold people accountable for using a weaponized justice system and lawfare and by the way, social media, to go after people. They're going to keep doing it. It's like the broken window.
And the side he's talking about doesn't want the country to come together.
I mean, name me somebody that we've tried to put in prison. I mean, it's like...
Peter, you want to talk about India? Are they ever going to come to the table? That's what we were going to talk about.
Oh, yeah. India's coming to the table. Modi, I don't know if
Are they the worst? You call them the Maharaja of tariffs?
The Maharaja of tariffs. But, Joe, the Modi, Prime Minister Modi sent out a very conciliatory, nice, constructive tweet, whatever they do in India. And President Trump responded to that. We'll see that. This is how this works. But as a practical matter, we know that on the trade side, they have the highest tariffs of any major country. They have very high non-tariff barriers. We had to deal with that like we're dealing with every other country that does that. And by the way, there's this issue of India buying Russian oil, which it never did. You understand this?
Besant
it never did.
I didn't realize that
before 2022.
That China has always been buying this, but it was India. Besant told us that it had really stepped up, and it was some families in India that are taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, the Indian refiners got in bed with the Russian refiners immediately after the invasion, and they're making out like bandits. I mean, it's crazy stuff because they make money off of us in unfair trade, okay? So American workers get screwed, right? Then they use that money to buy Russian oil, and then the Russians use that to buy weapons, and then we as taxpayers have to pay more for the defense of Ukraine. And so how can that be? And watching Modi on a stage with China, which has been its long-time existential threat, and Putin, that was an interesting stretch. I don't think he felt comfortable doing.
Well, we could talk about do the tariffs hold up, Supreme Court, everything else, but we have to do that another time. But I think it was useful. You have a lot, and then you've got 3 books that you brought.
Well, these are for you. I went to prison, so you won't have to. Exactly. And look, I wrote this as a wake-up call and a warning to America that what's going on here is not right. It's not good for the country. Yep. And I'm telling you, Andrew, they always talk kumbaya when they're out of power.
Yeah, I get it.
As soon as they get power,
I get it.
They come right after
I'm just trying to figure out how we can all come together. Honestly,
the difference between Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk is a millimeter, okay? And the worst day I had in prison, July 13th, was watching my boss get shot. And there'd be a very different story right now if that thing had been this much. So accountability, not retribution. That's where I'm at. And great to see you. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
It was wonderful
being
here.
Good to see you, Peter. Thank you. Squawk Box will be right back.